Do you still feel unclear about who your niche client is and how to connect with them? You're not alone. You might have a general idea of the type of client that you like to serve, but have you actually taken the time to really put yourself in their shoes? In today's episode, I'm going to share with you a fun exercise that will help you do just that. So stay tuned. Hey, Christian therapist, are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode. Welcome back to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist with a Christian counseling private practice in Colorado. I'm also a private practice coach for therapists who want to grow their practice and their business in alignment with what the Lord is calling them to do so they can make a greater impact on their clients and to also be able to just enjoy the fruitfulness of a private practice. Not just financially speaking, but just the satisfaction that comes from knowing that you are doing good work that is in alignment with the Lord and allowing Him to fill you up so you don't burn out. I created this podcast specifically to share information and knowledge with Christians in the mental health field who are feeling called to private practice, feeling really called to make an impact through the work that they do as therapists. So I'm glad that you have found me. I also do offer one-to-one private practice coaching right now. So if that's something you're interested in, I will leave my contact information for how you can book in the description below. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. By the time this podcast is dropping, it should be between Christmas and New Year. So I hope you're getting excited and ready for the new year. In today's episode, I'm going to continue addressing the topic of niche. I know I've had a couple of podcast episodes previously discussing the importance of having a niche, why we need to have a niche in today's market, and how that also helps you prevent burning out as a therapist, as it allows you to see clients that you really enjoy working with and feel qualified to work with. I still, in working with my coaching clients, have discovered that a lot of people really still struggle in getting super specific in who their niche client is. Usually, when I'm noticing this, I'll ask them if they were to give me an avatar that represents their niche client, who would that avatar be? And it is a struggle for people to come up with the specifics and to get really detailed about that person. They might know in general what the person struggles with, they might know in general the demographics, but to get into the nitty gritty details is a challenge. And you may be wondering why it's important to get super specific and detailed, but the reason is once you're inside your client's head, then you're going to know exactly what it is that your client is looking for when they are searching for a therapist. And when we know that, then we can know how do we connect with that person? Where are we going to be marketing and networking in order to come across our ideal client? And then how are we going to create copy or messaging that will really draw that person to us? So when they come across our information, they know that person is the perfect therapist for me. I think what often trips people up when they're trying to create an avatar that represents their ideal client is just how specific it gets. And they don't always see the purpose in getting super specific because most of my coaching clients aren't interested in just working with people named Sally who have an orange cat and three kids at home that they're trying to homeschool. That feels a little bit too narrow. And if you were to put on your website, hi, I'm a therapist who works with people named Sally who has a cat, that would probably turn people off. Possibly. You might actually find a new niche there. But if we identify Sally and her wants, her needs, her dreams, her stressors, her struggles, maybe she does enjoy her cat, that could be an area of coping for her. We're going to start to learn how Sally thinks. And not just Sally, but how people like Sally think. And then that's what we want to put in our messaging. That's how we're going to determine where do I network, with what types of people do I network, where do I market myself so I come in contact with people like Sally. And so people like Sally find my information. And when they look at my website, they know this is exactly the therapist for me. So if you've been struggling to create a specific avatar that is one person that represents someone you would like to work with, what I would recommend is actually trying to do this exercise on yourself. So today we're going to niche ourselves. This is just going to really help you see things from a client's perspective versus being on the other end where we are just looking for our clients. We're on the therapist business owner side. A lot of times we miss things if we're not good at putting ourselves in our client's shoes. So I call this so I call this the niche yourself exercise. It might be a good idea just to pull out a piece of paper or a journal, and I'm just going to read through some questions for you to think about and take some time and write some notes on it. Hopefully, these are some somewhat easy questions because you are going to be thinking of them in context to yourself. Versus when we do the niche avatar client exercise, you're trying to create this person that is based on maybe people that you haven't actually met yet or you don't know super well. So, first, just think about general background information that makes up who you are. What are your demographics? Where do you currently live? What location geographically? Where have you lived in the past? Think about your family of origin. What current roles do you play? Maybe you're a parent, maybe you're a spouse. Are you actively taking care of parents who are sick and getting older? Any current roles that you fill in your day to day. Next, I want you to think about the struggles or challenges that you have faced in your life or that you're currently facing, because those shape you into the person you are today. Take some time to write those down. What do you value in life? Not just being generic and saying faith or family, even though those are really good, but what do you see worth spending your time or money on? Usually, those are big indicators of where our true values lie, is how we spend our time and how we spend our money. What are your strengths? Where do you feel like you are especially gifted or where you excel? I think sometimes we have a trouble identifying that on our own. So feel free to ask other people who know you well. And then what are your weaknesses or areas where you feel like you really need to improve? Maybe it is punctuality or organization, whatever comes to mind for weaknesses. What skills, gifts, education, or training do you have? Do you have a college degree or a master's degree? Do you have other areas outside of formal education where you just have some talent or giftings? What do you enjoy doing? What are your hobbies, things that make you smile, things you'd spend time and money on if you felt like you had endless time and money? What really fills you up? Then what do you want in life? What are your dreams and your desires? You could probably spend a good 30 minutes or more just in getting really specific and detailed about the answers to those questions. And I encourage you to spend more time outside of this podcast on this exercise. But next, I want you to think about what might prompt you to seek a therapist. How are you going to know that it's time for you to reach out for help or that you're interested in therapy? What are the most important things that you'd look for in a therapist? How would you go about finding a therapist? Would you Google? Would you ask a friend or a pastor? Are you someone who actually takes the time to look at those business cards in the local coffee shop? How do you think you would find a therapist information? Would you just happen upon it, or would you be someone who's actually actively looking? What would you need to see or know or experience in order to book a session with a particular therapist? Would it be their website design? Would it be a phone consultation? What kind of connection would you need in order to be inspired to reach out and contact that therapist? And then this is a good one. Think about what barriers might keep you from going to therapy. Barriers could be financial, it could be mental or mindset, where maybe there's a stigma for you to go to therapy. It could be that you don't find the time or make the time to make your mental health important. Really think about what barriers you might encounter that could be holding you back from seeking therapy. And then what would turn you off from booking with a therapist? Would it be perceived flakiness on the therapist's end? Would it be an unprofessional sounding website? Is there anything that that therapist could do that would make you not want to book with them? But let's just imagine that you come across a therapist's information, whether it was given to you or you happen to notice it or find it yourself. Think about what would that therapist's website copy say that would speak directly to you? What would you want to read or see that would tell you that this is the right therapist for you? Let's say they have a blog. What blog titles would you be interested in reading on their website? What kind of photo would draw you in and make you feel comfortable booking a consultation with that therapist? What type of photo might turn you off to booking? How would you want to go about booking a session? Would you want to be able to easily book a session now through a website? Would you want a phone consultation first? Would you be okay just emailing the therapist and having them get back to you? Think about what you would prefer. I could go on and on with the types of questions that I could ask that will really help you hone in on who you are as a person, who you would be as a therapy client, and what would cause you to reach out and book a therapy session with a specific therapist. But for the sake of time, I'm going to end the questions with this final one. If you were a therapist's ideal client, how would that therapist describe their niche? Take time to put that down into a short sentence. I'm hoping that this exercise was helpful in helping you think about how you can put yourself in your ideal client's shoes a little bit better. So, when we think about our niche client or ideal client, it shouldn't just be about what they are seeking treatment for, although that is really, really important. But what is actually going to lead them and guide them to reaching out for therapy and essentially booking that first session by thinking about what barriers they might envision or face in actually getting through the therapy doors. That's going to help you learn how are you strategic in speaking directly to those barriers and overcoming those barriers to help your client book a session with you. Maybe your ideal client is someone who would go straight to Google for looking up therapy information. Then you're going to want to make sure that your website is searchable with the keywords that your ideal client would be typing into Google in order to find you. If your ideal client is someone who would probably be seeking referrals from a trusted individual like a pastor or their doctor, then it's going to probably be beneficial for you to be reaching out and establishing relationships with pastors or doctors' offices in your area. So, see how knowing and getting really specific about your ideal client is going to shape your marketing and your networking, what you write on your website. It's really your blueprint for success. So, now that you've taken time to niche yourself and think about how a therapist would speak to you if you were someone's ideal client, now you can apply that into the creation of your own ideal client avatar. Give them a name, give them a job, give them dreams and desires, wants, needs, stresses, struggles, talents, hobbies, all of the things. And when you speak directly to one client, you speak to many. Because trust me, there are other cat lovers who homeschool their kids like Sally out there who would identify with the messaging that you might put up on your website. Thanks so much for listening today. If this is striking a chord with you and you'd like a little bit more in depth help, I would love to help you in a one to one coaching session where we can have some focused time where I can speak directly to you and your needs. My contact information will be in the description below. I am currently working on creating a workbook and a course for Christians who are wanting to grow their private practice, and this Niche Yourself exercise will be a part of that. I'm currently unsure of my timeline for when this will be launched and available, but hoping within the new year. So stay tuned for that. I'd encourage you to sign up for my weekly newsletter. This will keep you up to date with my latest podcast and latest coaching offers, as well as my courses that I'll have available when those are ready. Sign up for my insider list. I will leave the sign up for that in my description below as well. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community called Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist. I really do welcome your posts and your questions. I'm happy to give you feedback and to answer any questions you have in that Facebook group as well. So thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. Enjoy the rest of 2025 and really praying that this new year just ushers in such a wonderful new season for you, filled with hope and fulfilled dreams. If you found value in today's episode, would you leave a written review on Apple Podcasts? It helps other faith-led clinicians like you find the show. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community, Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist, where you'll join other clinicians for encouragement, accountability, and free tips and support. See you there.